We're going to look at notes 8.2, and we're going to break this into 2 different days. So this is day 1. We're going to look at multiplying polynomials. Okay, so can I multiply a monomial by a polynomial? So that the question we have out there is, how do I do that? Well, this first problem probably looks like a little bit of a review. We have 3, which is a monomial, and we're multiplying it, parentheses means multiply, to everything inside the parentheses, that binomial there. And so we just use the distributive property. So if we distribute 3 times x and we multiply that, I'm going to go ahead and write each step out. We're going to do 3 times x plus 3 times 7. The 3 is multiplied by everything. Your final answer on this one would just be 3x plus 21. So that's what we're going to look at, except we're going to have more variables. We might have trinomials, meaning more terms inside instead of just 2 terms, and different powers. Again, it's the distributive property. So let's go ahead and look at example 1 here. I also want to make sure I would go through every single one of these. I see that's a minus n squared. I'm going to put a 1 in there because I know that means 1. And I'm going to change this to plus a negative. So I would change all my subtraction to add the opposite. And now we're ready to distribute 5n times 3n cubed. Well, that would be a 5n times 3, and we can write it out. N times n times n. This is why it was important to understand our exponents. Plus, we're going to have 5n times negative 1n n for negative 1n squared. And we're going to add 5n times 8. So let's go ahead and start with the first one here. 5 and the 3 is just going to get us 15. And how many n's do we have? Well, we have n to the 4th power. When we're multiplying, we're really adding those exponents. Plus 5 times a negative 1 would give me a negative 5. And we have n to the 3rd power here. Plus 5 and 8 is 40 and 1n. And we cannot combine those because those are not like terms. Have to have like terms in order to combine. Let's look at one last problem here. Again, I would be changing all my subtraction to add the opposite. We want to distribute the negative 1x cubed to everything inside the parentheses. Apply the distributive property. So this would be a negative 1 times 9, which would be just a negative 9. And the x3 and x4 is going to give us 7 x's, so x to the 7th power. Plus, and we have a negative 1 times a negative 2. Multiply those coefficients, so we have a positive 2. x3 is going to be x6. And we need to multiply our last term by negative 1x cubed times that 7. So negative 1 and 7 is going to give you a negative 7 and just x cubed. So this is notes 8.2 on multiplying polynomials, and we're applying the distributive property. That's it.